Hundreds of ranchers from across the country gathered in Cheyenne, Wyoming in November for the 2017 Range Beef Cow Symposium. Celebrating 50 years, the symposium is known for dispersing practical information to enhance all cattle operations. Hear about this year's successful event.
I do believe it's been successful as far if you judge it by our large trade show, our attendance, both of those have been real positive. The speakers are great. The ability to interact with a lot of industry leaders is probably the most important, not only with other ranchers, but just the camaraderie and the ability to visit while you're here. I think people see value in that as well. So I think that's part of the value too in coming here. It's not just watching a presentation, but it's that 15-minute conversation you have with another rancher or with one of the industry leaders. I think, we're eternally optimistic. I think what kind of comes out of this is, we spent some time, we know markets aren't necessarily great. We know there's some concerns about drought, but I think you kind of come away with this with the idea that if you're in production agriculture, there's still areas to improve, there's still opportunities for profitability. So I think in a lot of ways I kind of looked at it, there's some positive aspects as well. So hopefully they go home not necessarily depressed about the markets or the weather, but thinking about some ways they can improve their operation.
The symposium began in 1979, and it rotates between Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, and South Dakota. We caught up with Ivan Rush, who's attended every symposium since its inception, to talk about the event's rich history.
In 1969, most of the presentations, if they used visuals at all, it would have been overheads. We didn't have slide projectors at that point in time, and we didn't have the 2x2 slides. And of course, that was before cell phones, and that was before computers, and that was before Google. And so there's been a tremendous change in the technology that we utilize in the presentation, and the tremendous change in the technology that the cattle industry is utilizing now. And so that's been a major change. We've also seen a tremendous difference. In 1969, we didn't have any presentations on meat quality, didn't mention carcass quality, didn't talk about the consumer. That's been a major change that now a lot of times breeding decisions are made with the ultimate consumer in mind. So we're looking at a much more systems approach now than what we were then. We were probably solving more smaller problems and maybe creating other problems in doing so. But I think we're more of a systems approach now. This is just a real exciting time for an old gentleman to see the youth involved. It's just so refreshing to see so many younger producers, younger people, younger individuals in the industry. And so I have all the confidence in the world that the gains will be much faster in the future than what we've seen in the past, because we've got the opportunity to utilize that information, and we've got sharp young people coming into the industry. And as we heard in some of the presentations, beef is still the preferred product, and people love beef, and we can produce high quality beef. And so I have all the optimism in the world that we're going to see a good industry in the future.
The next Range Beef Cow Symposium is in Nebraska in 2019. And coming up, Chuck Sylvester and Charlie Kirk share their long-held National Western Stock Show traditions. The Angus Report will be back after this.